Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about search inputs, or as I like to call them, filters. Okay, search input or filters. So imagine if you have a lot of data, right, and then you just want to sift through your data. You just want to look for something in particular, and there's a lot of data to comb through. Okay, so this could come in handy using Alpine. All right, so let's get into it. So firstly, what we want to do is we want to get our layout, as we always do. So I'm going to use this one right here, dashboard. So we want to get a layout. I'm going to use dashboard, and all right, so we have our layout, and now we need to connect Tailwind and Alpine JS. Oh, okay. I think I run into the same problem. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Okay, so this is fine now, I guess. Okay, so now we've done this, right? So we need to, let's see how it looks on our, let's see how it looks. Okay, good. So we have this. I'm sure you can remember when we did the drop down for this right here, but we're just going to leave that right now. So what we want to do right now today is I want to have something like a search bar just after reports, yes, that you can search, and then you have some filter, you have some you have some items over here at this region, yeah, and then I want to use Alpine to filter them. Let's assume I have a lot of data, but in this case we're not going to have that much data, but let's just assume we have a lot of data and I want to filter the data. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. So first of all, we need to create these inputs here. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so here I'm just gonna say inputs. Okay, input type. I think I should just say text inputs. Let's see, what are the input types that are available? Oh, there's search here, so I'm just going to use search, and let's add a placeholder and say search something, right? And then we'll leave this here right now, and let's see how that looks. Let's hope it's fine. Okay, good. So we have our search bar here where we can search something. Okay, all right, so let's have something like a table item here. Let's have that. Okay, where can we put that one? I think we can put that here. Right, okay. So let's have a list, an ordered list. Okay. Okay. So in that list, we're going to have. Okay, you know what? Yeah. I think before I go into that, let's go to some fundamentals. I think. All right, let's go into some fundamentals to help you understand better. All right, so I'm going to have a search here, right? So I want it to be that I'll have data here, right? Like a lot of names or something, or dates or whatever kind of data. I have some data here, but I want it to be that when I search something here, I want the data down here to be filtered, right? So that means I need to come up with a way to bind whatever I put here, I need to come up with a way to bind whatever I put here, right, with the items that are here, to filter them or to search through them and then give me the relevant data, right? Okay, so that means I need to bind this thing somehow, some way. Okay, so here's a cool way you can do that. Alpine has a feature, or an attribute actually, called what's it called now? It's called X model, right? So I can just come here right now and say, this item that too long. Where is it? Okay, so I can just come here now and say X model. Now what X model does is that it binds the inputs, it binds the input data to a component, that is if you declare a component for it. But basically what it does, Alpine binds that input, that it binds whatever variable is in the input. Okay, so it usually binds it to something. Okay, just like if you're doing if you use view to be v model, sorry, use view to be v model, and then if you use if you're using livewire, it should be wire model. Okay, so it's almost similar. So we're going to say X model, and then we're going to give it, we're just going to say search. You can name it whatever you feel you should name it. Okay, so we're going to give it search, right? So now we've bind or bound, is it? I don't know, bind or bound, I don't know, let me know. So we've done that, right? So let's hook it up to something. Okay, so I'm going to put my X data here right at the top in my body tag, just so I'm sure it's going to cover everything I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm just going to put here, and then I'm going to say search. No, I'm going to say search. So search will be, we're going to set it to an empty string right now, right? Set it to an empty string because the reason why we're setting it to an empty string is that when we load the page, we don't want it to have a value already, like a default value. That's not what we want to do. We don't want a default value, so we just want to set it as empty, right? So whatever the user is going to impute into the search field, that's the value I want it to have. Okay, so right now we've bounded this X model to this search right here, right? Okay, so we're going to have another component also, but let's just keep going. Right, so now we've bounded our search field, our input field. Okay, so now we want to put in the values we want to be filtered. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense. I want to put in the values we want to be filtered. So usually now you're supposed to do something like this, like a list, right? And then you write maybe water, and then you create some other list or something, you know, you create this and all that, right? You could do this, it's fine. You can do this, right? You can have all this right here, but the thing with it is that Alpine, if you want to loop over data using Alpine, it doesn't really work well with your normal lists, right? Because you want to use X4. That is what Alpine uses, X4. Okay, so you can look it up later on. Okay, so we're going to say what are we going to say now? Hold on. All right, so instead now what we are going to use, instead of lists, we're going to use templates. We're going to use templates. Now the reason why we are using templates, as I said, is that is what Alpine, or rather that is what is compatible with Alpine. Okay, so that's why we're going to use it. So in the meantime, we'll do that, but let's first of all do some more wiring. Okay, let's first of all do some more wiring. Alright, so now what we need to do now is we now need to the items we want filtered, the items we want to filter, right? We have to declare them. Now this is what you would probably do if you were using a language like maybe, I don't know, Laravel. Laravel is what I use, so I don't really know about the others. So if you're using Laravel or using Livewire, right, which I usually use Livewire. So if I was doing that, I would just use Livewire to pull the data from my database and then just already have them dynamically set. But because we are not doing that, I have to declare my data. Okay, so I'm going to have another component right here. I'm going to have another component, and then I'm going to give it, I'm going to have another component with an array, rather, or an array that has a component, so a component that has an array. I don't know. But you know what I want to do? I want to have an array, right, and connect it to a component, or declare it to have a component. Is that right? No, that's not right. The English is not right. Okay. So we're going to have another component, and this component is going to have an array of items inside of it. Okay, so let's say we want to go to the market and buy some things. Let's assume, so we want to have a list of that kind of thing, right? So let's say we're going to get meat, we're going to get I don't know, we're going to get fish, we're going to get I don't know, rice, sure. What food do you like? We're gonna get rice though. What else are we getting? Vegetables. Let's get vegetables. So we get veggies. Pepper. Yeah, I might get pepper. I don't know, I'm always forgetting this. So we get pepper and any other thing? Onion. Let's get onion. For some reason, we're gonna get cheese. I think. I'm gonna say cheese. Cheese. Okay, I think this is fine. So we're gonna have an array of this, right? All right. So now, after having this, yes, we need to do something else. We need to get the record that has been entered. We need to get the record that has been entered into this input field here, right? So we need to get the record there, and then use that record that was entered. We need to use that record to filter to this array and then get the final result, and then be able to display the final result on screen. Okay, so what we need to do now, or what we are going to do now, is we're going to use raw JavaScript. Okay, so if you didn't really know, or you don't really know much JavaScript, I'm going to try and explain what I'm doing. Okay, but we're going to use raw JavaScript to do this. It's not much, it's just a little line of code. We're going to use a filter method. Now some people might be comfortable using a getter. Okay, you're comfortable using a getter, but I'm going to do it like this. Okay, partly because this is usually what's in the documentation, so I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so now I'm going to say you should filter what is in this component here, filter item. So you see I'm putting it here, but you notice here my I is capital letters, so that's to tell JavaScript what component I want to filter, right? So if I say items like this, it won't understand it. It will try to look for a function that is called this, right? But so it will not understand it. So I'm going to give it a method or function like this and say filter items, because filter is a well, let's leave it at that so I don't confuse you more. Okay, so I'm going to give you this method now. So I'm saying filter this item, right? A method. So whenever I call on this filter item, whenever we are getting this filter item, return something for me. Okay, return a value for me, return something, return a boolean, return something. Okay, so but what do I want to return? I want to return a filtered list from what was imputed here. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to say return this items. That's these items here. So return these items. When I call this method filtered items, I want you to return these items that have an array, as in the things that are in the array. I want you to return them. Okay, so return these items that you, and what's it called, and filter them. Basically return these items and filter them. That's what I wanted to do. Return the item and filter them. And then I'm going to say start with that. You're going to iterate over them. Okay, we're going to iterate over them. So I'm going to say start with this search. That is the search that was this search here, the input field. Start with that. Okay, so what I'm saying is whatever I was put into this search, right? If I call on this method right here, I want you to get the items that are in this place, get them, but I still need you to filter them. That's why you have filter here. So get these items, return this item here, right, and filter them. So how am I going to filter them? What am I going to use to filter them? So that's what I now wrote in the bottom. So I'm saying start with this, filter them with what is in the search, that is this search right here. So filter them with this. Okay, that is start with the first letter. That's how you filter the first letter. If there's another input there, let's say they put 2 letters, use the 2 letters to filter. Okay, that's what I'm asking it to do, or that's what I'm telling it to do. All right, that makes sense to you? All right, so now that I have that, now I need it to loop, because already now if I put an input, it's going to get something for me, but I won't be able to see what it's getting for me because I haven't told it to show me right now. Okay, all right, now if you want to use for Alpine JS, if you want to loop over, like I said earlier, if you want to loop over a set of data or an array of data, you need to use the template tag, or you can say template element. So basically what the template does is that it automatically hides a block of code that is put inside of it by default. Now if you look at this, now you see here, now I have water inside template, right? So if we look at it, you see that there's nothing there. Now the reason why there's nothing there is because it has automatically hidden it. That's why we cannot see anything there. So let's see now, if I write something here now, let's say I don't know, what should I write now? Let's say heading. Okay, let's just give it a H5, I think. H5 and say heading. Or let's say market items, right? So we're going to say market items. And, can we have this? So we're going to say market items. So you see now market items shows, but the thing at the bottom, the thing inside, the value inside, or the HTML inside the element, inside the template is not showing. Like I said, it automatically hides it, so you have to use the JavaScript to show it. So that's what the template tag does. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to use Alpine to make it show by adding a loop to it. So that's how we're going to make it show. Okay. So Alpine has a loop that is x4. It's like saying for each in your HTML. Okay. For each, if else, and all that for HTML. I mean, sorry, not HTML, for PHP. Okay. So that's how you do. It's the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing, it's a different syntax, but the concept is the same. I'm just saying this one is for, this one right here is for Alpine JS. So let's say you were doing Laravel, you would say for each, sorry, you'd say for each. Okay, for each $this, sorry, $this as, I don't know, this or something, and then you go on with your coding. So, but we're not doing Laravel now. So okay, so we have for x4, that is for each items, for each item in items, in filtered items, in filtered items. Then I'm going to say here now, I don't need this anymore. So here now I'm going to say x text, because I want it to dynamically show me the things that are inside the for each. Okay, then I'm going to say item. Then I'm going to say items. Now there are certain cases whereby you might be dealing with large amounts of data, okay, like very large data, and you might be searching through that data, and then you notice that Alpine is a reactive framework, so every time when you search, it automatically updates the DOM. Okay, so there's a point where it might get confused, right? Just take my word for it. Okay, just take it like that. It might get confused, okay, and be like, oh, I don't know which is which in the array, which one is supposed to be here, which one is supposed to be here. So what we do is that we bind a key to it. So basically we're saying this is their IDs, so that you don't forget this one is in number 1, this one is in number 2. So basically that's what we're saying by giving it this key, so it doesn't get confused. So that's why when we're using large amounts of data, it's always recommended to include your key to it. Okay, so this is basically how you do the search. So now we need to let's see how it is now on our browser. Nothing is showing. Hold on. Have I broken something? Okay, so after a while I discovered what the error was actually is because I wrote this twice. I think you saw that actually. I wrote this twice, and that's why it didn't work, which was surprising to me because I was wondering why it's not working, because I'm doing everything right. You know, but I guess there are days like that. So yeah, so after doing that, we refresh and see it works now. Okay, so if I come up here to filter, let's say I want to look for items that start with M, I get this. Okay, let's see if I can increase this so you can see better. Okay, this is better. So I go back, you see it automatically refreshes the DOM for me. So if I search items with C, I have only cheese. If I search items with I have onion. Let's add something else to make it I don't know, what can I add? Let's add milk and let's say pan. Sorry, no curly braces. Okay, and I don't know, I'm just gonna go out on limb and say violin. Violin, okay. Let's say fresh pie, okay. So fresh pie. Alright, so if I refresh this, you see I have more items now. So if I look for items that start with F, I get fresh pie, right? If I go to P, I get pepper and pan. If I go to what else is there? M, I get milk and meat. Okay, so that's how you do a filter. So ideally now I'm supposed to have, well, it depends on what you want to do, but maybe like a what's it called, like a table here that with a lot of records and values, and then I just search and then I get what I'm looking for. I'll be able to narrow down the amount of data I have to what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's how you do that. I hope this was helpful to you in one way. If you did like it, if you're feeling Alpine and it's making sense to you, please like and subscribe. Okay, you can also share with your tech enthusiasts so they can learn it. Alpine is really easy to learn and it's a great tool to have when you are working as a full stack or as a front-end developer. All right, that's it for today. I would see you next time. Bye bye.